white Rotary sewing machine in what I think is a mahogany treadle cabinet with slightly strange style, maybe a little bit Frenchified, lots of curves. And I don't know anything about white machines. I'm quite good at different Singer models, but white machines I know nothing about, so I thought this would be an interesting video. You can watch me sort of unpack the thing and fluff around with it. I found this in just a local junk shop, really. £35. Definitely don't need another sewing machine, but couldn't resist. And this has got one of these rather clever, that's quite clever, isn't it? Clever mechanisms that raises the machine on a braided wire type thing with a pulley at the back. That's quite nice. And there she is. And I've done absolutely nothing to it. So I don't think the world can have too many bonkers sewing machine videos about people sort of unpacking these and finding out what's in the drawers, because that's always exciting. So I thought I'd video it as I went through it. So there we go. There is a table lamp here so that you can see the gubbins. Completely filthy. And I don't think they're probably quite as well made as the Singer cabinets, sort of held together mostly with steel brackets rather than properly jointed, but still does the job. And actually you can, if you watch this clever little mechanism, if I close the lid, you can see what happens underneath here. Not that it's very spectacular, but it's very clever. And there's a little stout wire device here that pinches the belt as it lowers it, presumably to keep it tight around the balance wheel, so that when it's raised it's still in its groove. So that's what it looks like when it's lowered down. Quite clever. And this business here is about providing an adjustment for there's the end of the wire, so you can adjust, presumably by these locking bolts, nuts, you can adjust the tension on it and get it absolutely right. I wonder if they break. I suppose they do sometimes. So there we go, let's pot it up. It's quite satisfying, quite nice. Right, so while I'm here, let's have a look. This door carries a couple of drawers. And another one here. Now the only thing that she's missing, there's quite a lot of stuff in here, but the only thing that it doesn't have is any spare bobbins. So I've wound a bobbin that will fit, although it's not the right size, fits in the bobbin case. The bobbin case is present, so I put that in already, so I don't have to faff around with that. It doesn't quite fit on the bobbin winder, which is down here, so I've done that on another machine. But everything else is here. There are millions of isn't this fun? I love it. Millions of hand sewing needles. Look at this. Isn't that lovely? I probably won't be using those. And there are more, there's loads more books of those things, and they're falling out everywhere, so be careful with those. Not quite sure what that's for, but some little bag for something. This is something to do with the attachments, which I think these are made by Greece. with the top attaching foot like that. And this is advertising some sort of book to show you how to use them and to make these wonderful things, which I'm sure are fairly difficult. If you've ever tried to use the Singer hem stitcher, it's probably, well, there we go. I must do a video on that actually. The Singer hem stitcher is possibly the most comical device ever. It sort of chews up whatever you feed through it and spits it out with holes in it. Oh, those are machine needles. I don't know what needles this machine takes, but presumably these are they. Don't know. Nice little wooden things. That's got more needle in it. And here we've got instructions. Quite nice to have. I've had a brief look at that, and I did manage to put some thread on it vaguely in the right place, and it made a few stitches. So yeah, and the like the Singer books, the end of it gives you some instruction on the different attachments, which, oh, this is quite nice. Seems that whoever had this machine really looked after it and kept everything, apart from the bobbins. So I'm not sure what happened to those. I think everything else in here is, I have checked everything, there are no bobbins. Everything else is pins and needles and stuff. What's this? That's Singer needle threading thing, and that's on an early 66 with the back mounted presser foot. I've got a few of those somewhere. Yeah. Oh, there she is. Might need to use that little oil can. Okay. But I promise you there are no bobbins, so I shall have to get some of those from somewhere. They're probably quite difficult to find because I think they're a special size for this. And then we have a tin with all the goodies in it. And these are probably fairly similar to Singer stuff. That's some sort of under braider. Some sort of shearing plate that these attach onto the bed, I think, through here and here. That's a tucker, that looks a bit different. Nice ruffler, very standard. And a few extra little feet. Quilting thing, I think there's a hole in the, yeah, there's that I think is supposed to push through. There's probably a set screw to do it, but this hole here, the quilting guide, quite a nice idea. And these are the spoon type hammers. Never used them. Sort of binder, quilting type thing. But I think they're all there. So how nice to have all that. It's worth buying just for the attachments. So there we go. Let's have a look at the machine now. This isn't really a sewing video because well, there's loads of those, but I just want to give you my first thoughts on this. Knowing nothing about these machines, it's very pretty, isn't it? Very pretty thing. I have put a little bit of oil on it, done absolutely nothing else. It needs a good clean because it's filthy, but it runs incredibly smoothly. So I think whoever had this, and there is an oil can in one of the drawers, must have kept it oiled, which is fairly unusual because because it was so free turning when I took it out of the case. It's amazing. So that's nice. These machines apparently, by looking at it, run with the balance wheel turning the opposite way to the singers. So if I was going to use this, that would throw me a little bit. I'd take a bit of getting used to that. This is access to the bobbin. Can we see the bobbin? You can just see the bobbin case down there. I think they call this a wishbone bobbin case, do they? You can see why. Got some patent dates on there. The latest is 1913, but I don't think that means much. Stitch length here, that's altering the fore and aft movement of the feet. So, a few interesting things that they did differently to Singer. The tension arrangement's slightly different. Still got tensioning plates here on the face plate, a bit like the 15s, but this is changing the pressure between those plates through a little lever on the inside of here. I have taken this off and had a look. And it obviously does it without very much turning. You've only got half a turn to get all variety of tension. That's quite nice. It makes the adjustment very easy. The take-up lever here, you don't have to thread the cotton through. You just sort of slip it behind the spring. That's nice. So you can do all this quite easily. It's actually quite easy to thread. They've thought everything through, and it works nicely. Can we have a look at the underside? I think you're supposed to lower the machine slightly and take the belt off, but this belt is slightly loose, so I can do that. Can I do this with one hand? Yeah. Oh no, I can't, because I need to take it off the wheel down here. If I can do that with one hand, which I don't know whether I can. There's quite a good comprehensive skirt guard thing on here. Belt guard, whatever you call it. Dress guard, that's what I'm looking for. But there is somewhere. There it is. There is a notch. Right, okay. Put a little lever there to do that. Right, let's have a look under here. So one of the Singer machines that I've never had a chance to play with is the 115s, which are very much like the 15s, but they're full rotary machines rather than oscillating hooks. Now, this thing is a full rotary machine, and unlike the 201s, the Singer 201s, which everyone knows, this isn't gear driven. This is driven quite cleverly from the rotating main shaft in there through, I don't know whether I can get a bit of light in there. Can I do this? Because this is the interesting bit. Can I leave that there? Crikey. Nothing like being set up properly, is there? So the rotary motion is transferred to this shaft here, which carries the shuttle, the bobbin. But interestingly, you can see as I'm turning this, firstly, it's going in the opposite direction. It revolves in the opposite direction. That's because this lever here is pivoted somewhere up here. Sorry, somewhere up here. Otherwise it wouldn't work. You'd get all sorts of, I don't know, dead century typey things happening and it wouldn't work. So it has to be pivoted, and it's a sliding pivot. But interestingly, if you watch it rotate, the speed of the hook isn't constant. If I try and turn this as consistently as I can, at this point in its travel, as the bearing here slides up into the longer part of this race, the movement is slowed down. It's quite interesting. The 201s, the hooks rotate twice for every stitch, and they therefore can rotate at quite a speed. This one is very clever. The rotation is not a consistent speed, so it's slowing down at some points and speeding up at some points. And I assume that was done on purpose. Normally is. wonder if we can see... I wonder if we can see the needle coming down it. I think you can take all this out, and if I took that off you could see it a lot better, but so I'm turning the hand wheel fairly consistently, or trying to, and you can see it slowing down and speeding up, slowing down and speeding up. It's very clever. So that's interesting. The other thing which baffled me a bit at first was looking at the setup of the feed. So we've got a rocker shaft here. This comes down again from the main shaft and has the stitch regulation on it. So that's 4.5 movement. That gives you a different stitch length. That's what this gubbins here is doing, and you can see it, follow it through here. The feed dogs are up here, and the other end of the feed dogs, well, the other bit of it is taken off here. Look, that's just a revolving cam, and that gives you the up and down movement. So that is pushing them up, and then this bit here is moving them across. So between this and between this cam here, you get the sort of form motion of the feed dogs. And then I thought, well, what's all this stuff up here? Because this is normally feed stuff as well, and this is running off another cam on this central shaft. And if you follow the movement of this round, it's looking very much like feed stuff until you get to here, and you follow it to this sort of finger here, this slide. Can you see that? You can see the feed above it, and then there's this sort of finger that's sliding at a different time underneath it. Now, when you're sewing, when you've got this threaded up, this piece of cotton is drawn up through the throat plate, and that little finger juts out and pulls the thread off the bobbin, just a few millimeters of it. And that's what it seems to be doing. Not quite sure why. As far as I know, that sort of thing doesn't exist in any singers, so that's interesting. It's just pulling a bit of thread off the bobbin, ready for the stitch to be made. I don't know. You can see that actually the bobbin case, everything is mounted at a slight angle there. It's beautifully engineered. It really is nice. And very smooth running. I mean, that almost feels, when I'm turning this wheel like this, feels like I'm just turning the balance wheel with the clutch disengaged. It's so smooth. Very, very impressed. Yeah, and that's the wire that I was telling you about that pinches the belt when you lower it down. Right, let's put this back down. This thing here, this clip on the front, that's just to secure it down. There we go. All right, now I've got to try and fight the belt back on before we do anything else. And as I said, there's a notch in the wheel, but it doesn't seem to quite work for taking the belt on as nicely as the single ones do. But there we are. Maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe that's worked okay. Okay. Or maybe not. I don't know. No, it doesn't feel like it has. There we go. All right. So yeah, so it revolves backwards like that, the other way. Isn't that quiet? Well, I think it's probably a long enough video. We don't think we need to do a threading up and sewing thing. Maybe I'll do that in another video. And she needs a bit of a clean, but is not in bad condition, just very, very grimy. So I'm not sure what to do with that. I'll probably close it all up and put it in a corner somewhere, or maybe move it on, let someone else play with it. But yeah, I think maybe I'll do another video of threading the thing up, and we'll see if we can get some stitches. I know it sews because I've done a few stitches, and it really makes a nice job of it. But yeah, that's another video. Oh, this is nice. Got access for oiling of gears in there. well, not gears, but you know, mechanism. There's no inspection plate on the back, is there? No. That's got a sort of revolving sleeve around it, which is very nice. That I don't think turns, that one. That's your presser foot tension. Yeah, very impressed. So, white Rotary in a treadle cabinet, and having had nothing done to it, is in full working order and a beautiful machine. So I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe I'll do another one and do some sewing on it. Thanks very much.